some people will say in our culture today, well, actually, I believe that gender is fluid and it's on a spectrum. Some boys behave more like girls and vice versa. It's very narrow and reductionistic of you to say boys can't be girls or men can't be women. Now, this argument, which is fairly common today, is problematic. It's problematic because it conflates the idea of gender and biological sex and also tries to use an exception to prove a rule. You know, the prominent Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson once said, if someone asked me, do I believe that there are gender fluid people? I would say, yes. A young man who's gender fluid, I know what he's like. He's high in agreeableness. He's high in neuroticism. He has a feminine temperament. He's more interested in people than things, and he's extremely high in openness. And so his temperament is fluid. He's creative, and so he's one thing one day and one thing the next. And his fundamental temperament is tilted towards the feminine. But that doesn't mean he's not a man. And that's murky thinking. See, the point is clarity actually matters. Exhibiting a feminine temperament, one tilted that way, doesn't change your male biological reality. You know, Richard Dawkins, who is a famous atheist and scientist and author who actually ridicules Christianity, has gone on record stating in a Piers Morgan interview, as a biologist, he says, there are two sexes, and that's all there is to it. We have seen the way J.K. Rowling, Kathleen Stock have been bullied. They've stood up to it, but it's very upsetting. The way this tiny minority of people has managed to capture the discourse and to really talk errant nonsense. Janice Raymond is a distinguished American professor, lesbian, and feminist. And in 2021, she wrote a book called Doublethink, a feminist challenge to transgenderism. She argues, at the core of trans ideology is the insistence that self-declared women, men, are women. But self-declared women are not women historically, experientially, or biologically, and certainly not by reason of a simple declaration that they expect everyone to accept because they say it is so. I feel it, thus it is real. The feeling may be real, but the facts are otherwise. If critics don't cooperate in this fantasy, they are labeled violent TERFs. Any dissent from trans dogma is considered a mortal sin, even when male biology and masculinist behavior are graphically on display. In Translandia, any disagreement with trans dogmas is treated as disputing trans existence, or in trans speak, as killing us. Janice Raymond is not a Christian, not sympathetic to Christianity whatsoever, and yet this is her speaking and writing about it. Now, her book title, some of you might recognize, actually is borrowed from George Orwell's famous dystopian novel, 1984. This idea of doublethink in that book is defined as basically holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and denying the existence of objective reality. Basically, it's a brainwashing technique used by the party to get people to believe contradictory slogans like war is peace, ignorance is strength. And by suspending the ability of individuals to think, they can actually manipulate them further. So Janice Raymond's point in all of this is that she's arguing that, Janice Raymond's point in arguing this is that if you say that trans women are women, you really have no historical, experiential, biological support for that. And if you make that claim, it's really as baseless as a religious claim. It's a new form of religion. Now, I would dare say that Christianity is based on facts and is not just some other type of religion, but you get her point. If you don't back up something with facts, it's a stab in the dark. It's a leap of faith. And this, she says, resembles actually religious indoctrination instead. Furthermore, I would just say it's not actually hard for many individuals to think through this and see the hypocrisy of believing some facts in the world while choosing to reject other facts. For example, if I told you that right now I choose to identify as a black male, what would you say to me? So I watched a video, actually, of students being asked this question on the campus. Is it wrong to wear blackface, that's makeup on your face to make you look black? Is that wrong? Or to identify as black? And the answer, almost invariably, is yes. That's wrong. That's incredibly offensive to black people. You can't be transracial. It's in your biology. But when they were asked shortly after that, say a question, is it wrong to wear woman face? They're like, what's that? Oh, it's a person who is born a man but chooses to identify as a woman. The answer was, whoa, I think that's different. I'm not sure how to explain it, but I just know it is true. And you have to ask the question, is that actually true? Do you really know it? Have you thought it through? Or is there perhaps an inconsistency in your position of what you're picking and choosing? College instructor a number of years ago, Rachel Dolezal, was an activist for the African American community, and she lost her job and was crucified on social media when people found out that she was actually born white and wasn't a black woman. One trans activist actually said of her blackness is a performance, and our transness is our identity. It's who we are. But if you listen to Dolezal speak, she argued black is her identity. Question that we have to ask is, why is she wrong and deserves to be ostracized by society when others are not? Why is sex, for example, changeable, while race today, at least, is still a matter of unchangeable biology? Perhaps there will come a day when I will actually have to speak with people who come and talk to me and say, I identify as being Chinese, just like you. And I have to say, are we serious here at this point? It's not a matter of biology. As Christians, we are called actually to speak the truth in love. Jesus said, the truth shall set you free. Sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. Truth really does matter as Christians. 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5 says this, for though we walk in the flesh, we are not waging war according to the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare are not according to the flesh, but have the divine power to destroy strongholds. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God and take every thought captive to obey Christ. So in other words, as a Christian, I am obligated to battle not people with swords and threats, but against false ideas with biblical truth, especially when it comes to God's truth about His design for men and women. We can't allow our society to fall into the trap of doublethink and say, just no problem, man, you do you, man, and you live how you want. It's dangerous to do this.